I hear you.
All right.
Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Colonel. This is Dr. Atwood with the Miami Military Museum, welcoming you via Zoom. And so to kick it off, this is a town hall on veterans issues and a roundtable via Zoom, if you can have such a thing. So having said that, I'm going to leave it in the good hands of yourself and Dr. Fonseca, and step out of the way and let the commissioner have her say. Please.
Awesome. Well, Brian, go ahead.
Willard, I just want to do a proper introduction to you. I mean, you're a rock star here in Miami, and I'd be remiss if I didn't seize the opportunity to welcome you. Of course, welcome the commissioner. 5-time Emmy Award-winning journalist, a proud graduate of Florida International University. I have to say that. As a FIU grad and staff member myself, member of the Florida Bar, and of course, in the context of what we're here to talk about, a Gulf War veteran, fighter pilot. So with that, Willard, I want to turn it over to you to drive this conversation with the commissioner this morning.
Okay, Brian, thank you for all your work and your service to our country, United States Marine Corps, as my son is now in. And Commissioner, always great to see you. I'm remiss, since we have a young audience there next door with you. These days, I'm the Air Force officer for the high schools in Miami-Dade County. And as you know, whether it's the West Point, the Coast Guard Academy, I'm biased about our Air Force Academy, or the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis, those young people that are obviously interested in serving our country. And I encourage all of us, I always say we all need to do something, as the commissioner has done with a big part of her life serving us in her current capacity and a future capacity, but also her community service work. We all need to give back. We live in the greatest country on earth. We have problems, but we have people to fix it. And these young people that are with us today, I'd encourage them to look at our scholarship opportunities available across the board, whether those are ROTC or our Air Force or any of our academy programs. It's not easy to get into. We want the brightest and the best. As I say, we're investing a massive amount of money in the taxpayers' dollars. So well, I always say you got to be a citizen, an athlete, and a scholar, all rolled into one. So I would encourage our young people to certainly reach out to me at the TV station, or Brian, come and see you. You know how to find me. The commissioner's team knows how to find me, and we'll try to provide as much of these opportunities as available. So with that having been said, the commissioner has a busy schedule today. She's going to be all over our county. I looked at her schedule today. I appreciate her spending time with us this morning. And with that, I will turn it over to you and encourage everyone who hasn't voted yet by mail. And Ms. White has over 150,000 people that have done that so far. Our early voting starts on Monday. So make your voice heard. So with that, Commissioner, always great to see you, especially in this vein. And good morning. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure to be with you and to learn more about your background, which I did not know. All of your military service and obviously very distinguished career. And also you're a heck of a moderator.
Oh, okay. Well, I will thank you very much. These days, that means something.
Very good.
So, Commissioner, first of all, you obviously have some broader messages you want to deliver about our community. You don't need to initially to just focus just on our veteran community and those who are in the military and reserves in this area. Generally, this is an important time for you to get your message out to our entire community. So I certainly want you to have the opportunity.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Very good. All right. Well, first of all, let me say that walking up to this incredible facility just warms my heart. Dr. Atwood has been the tireless advocate for the restoration of this facility, of the programming, which is now underway. Whatever small part I played, which was really very small, I must tell you, I wish I played a bigger part, and for sure I'll be buying a brick to be out in front of the building to recognize the incredible history of this location, the honor that we pay to our military servicemen and women, the veterans, the departed, the currently active, and it's a beautiful, beautiful facility. And it's been designated on the national registry, and we need to get it to be recognized locally as truly a great part of our history here in Miami-Dade County. So just to say, I just have to take a moment to, there's a Yiddish expression, kvel, in the joy of this moment, and to be greeted with such wonderful fanfare, the whistle and the bell and the lineup of all of those who are making this great facility a wonderful part of our cultural heritage here in Miami-Dade County. So happy to have played a small part. And so now I just want to say hello to all the viewers. Thank you to Brian Fonseca for being here with us today, and to all of the few that were allowed in because of social distancing to this room. We wished it could be a larger gathering, but we know the cadets are training in the other room, so that is also very inspiring. But to those who woke up early to be with us here today, thank you so much. You know, we're also next to the Gold Coast Railroad Museum, and my son had a birthday party on that train. So for me, you know, not only the zoo in close proximity, but also the important ecological, environmental aspects of this property. So there's just really so much to celebrate right here on the site. And of course, all of what makes Miami-Dade County the greatest place in the world. If you don't mind my saying so, I certainly know that to be true. So let's start with, we are living in unprecedented times. A pandemic every 100 years, I guess, something that was not on any of our radar screens. And we have proven ourselves to be agile, but in this moment of history, we want to make sure that people understand that this is the opportunity to reflect on our community, on our social cohesion, on our mental health, as well as our physical health, and a tribute to everybody who is getting through these difficult times. We're together on this. We will pull out. Health is number one, so you see us all here appropriately protected. Health is number one. Our economy cannot recover unless we have our health, but we must, of course, double down, make sure that the people who are struggling without jobs, with risk of homelessness, who've lost loved ones, or who themselves have faced this illness, our hearts go out to all of you, again, military men and women in our entire community for these unprecedented times. And our veterans especially, because we know that those who've been through service bring back these scars from that experience. And that oftentimes makes them more vulnerable to other challenges and tragedies. And we are, all of us, reeling from this, and mental health services are on the increase and inadequate to address all of this, and particularly to recognize that our military men and women are often experiencing really extreme post-traumatic stress, triggered by some of these unfortunate situations, even with a higher suicide rate, increased calls to our suicide hotline. So for all of the men and women, military or not, who are experiencing symptoms, you are not alone, and help is available. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that depression, anxiety, these are everyday emotions that we experience, and we know that especially isolation contributes. So do not stay isolated, do reach out, we can connect, and there are services, and especially our veterans programs, which are really first rate, and we're so fortunate to have a wonderful veterans facility here in Miami-Dade, and we don't want anyone to avoid taking advantage. And for those facing homelessness as well, we know we need to especially take care of our veterans who are experiencing housing challenges, and we have a wonderful military affairs commission here in Miami-Dade County, and we welcome everyone to reach out and see what help they can get. So I'm going to mention a few of the things that I've done as county commissioner for the veteran community. And again, I don't do these things on my own, and I want to acknowledge the leadership of our county commissioner, Pepe Diaz, himself Marine. And as I heard, never you're a former Marine, you're always part of the Marine Corps, and he certainly lives up to that, and he is present and engaged in every important military matter at the county level. So I can't claim ownership of these things, but I can claim participation and active support. So we did donate a county vehicle to our Veteran Connections nonprofit, We waive pet adoption fees for vets, very important because animals are often our best therapy. I know my cat feels that way. We established a Veterans Court in the 11th Circuit, which is groundbreaking. We urge Congress to protect the Veterans Homeless Rehousing Program. Again, homelessness is a critical issue. We've urged congressional funding for Alzheimer's and traumatic brain injury research by the VA, and we called on Congress to protect our veterans from VA benefits fraud, right? Unfortunately, we are all of us subject to exploitation, and our veterans not alone in that. And this summer, through the Federal CARES Act program, we were able to allocate $20 million to our local veterans, funding to alleviate financial hardship for active duty service and veterans who are in need of basic goods, and also a small business loan program for veterans as well, which is very important. And then last September, I supported a resolution urging the Florida legislature to establish the Florida Veterans Care Coordination Program with the goal of helping vets and their families behavioral health care, referral care, and coordination services. So like I said, we all are subject to the need for mental health services. It's just a part of the continuum of healthcare, and this is a special program to make sure veterans get what they need. And then in 2019, I voted to approve the mayor's grant application to fund veterans sports programs here in Miami-Dade County. I'm sure those have been somewhat scaled back during this pandemic because of the contact issues, but obviously sports, again, very vital to our health and to our mental health. And I'm also a strong supporter of investments across the board in mental health. So want to underscore that. Recently, I pioneered a program with NAMI, National Alliance of the Mentally Ill, and Health Foundation of South Florida called Ending the Silence, because for so many, there's a stigma, which there should not be, and we want to help people understand that they too are experiencing something that is actually very normal. Now, I supported these initiatives because I believe that if you risk your lives to serve our country, that it is our solemn obligation to take care of you when you return. And let's just be very clear. I am surrounded in this room by men and many women listening, I'm sure, who have served, who have been willing to put their lives on the line for the great freedoms of this nation throughout the world. And we owe each and every one of you a debt of gratitude and a debt of care. And so I stand firmly with you to make sure that we never, never let up on making sure that you have what you need when you're serving and when you come home, and also to the family members of those who have served. I have a social work background. I'm a lawyer and a social worker, and I have spent an entire career working to improve the lives of men and women and children. And I've been listening and learning from every sector of our community, especially on this campaign trail. And so I am very eager to be part of this today, part of the recognition of this great achievement, because I know that it stands for the blood, sweat, and tears of so many, and the hopes and aspirations of people throughout our county. And I also want to mention how proud we are to have the Homestead Air Reserve Base, Southcom, other operations here. Hopefully we'll have the space program here as well. You know, there's no end of possibilities, and our community stands strongly with our military men and women. It's been a major part of my focus as county commissioner, and as mayor will continue all the more so. So there's much more that I could say about work that I've done, but I think I'll wrap it up there, and I don't know if we have any questions or how do we go from here?
Yeah, well, Commissioner, first of all, and I'm glad you mentioned your friend and mine, Commissioner Diaz, who's done incredible work with our military commission. And there's one thing I do want you to emphasize there. And Commissioner Diaz in his office, Olga, had reached out to me. I've been trying for 2.5 weeks to put on television a program about this veterans program that we have for the small business loans, up to $20,000 that they can receive. Can you please tell the public more about that? So that we can get the word out there, and to contact your office or the things that have been set up so that people can take advantage of this.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm really proud that we passed this program. The exact specifics of how it's administered, I don't have, but we're here joined by, if you want to join us, Gus, and tell us a little bit.
Oh, Gus is there? I didn't know Gus was with me.
Yeah, he's hanging
Hey,
out
Gus.
here. This is the man with the information. So
He's the man with the plan.
yes.
Gus, I didn't know you were over there.
Yes, of course.
Okay, man, lay it all out. My apologies to you. You know, every time I've tried to get this on television, not just with me, but our team, there's a different drama that we have every day. So therefore, I lay this out for us and how people can do it. And we're still trying. And Olga on your team, I'm in touch with her and let the commissioner know one of these days we'll have it on the broadcast. But this gives us an opportunity to get it out. So tell me.
Absolutely. So as the commissioner said, the Board of County Commissioners supported and allocated $20 million towards veterans for COVID relief. This is CARES Act money that has been designated to Miami-Dade County. So it would only apply for those Miami-Dade County residents. It is divided into 3 programs, one for small business, Small Business Administration. So any veteran-owned businesses here in Miami-Dade County could apply for that. Then there is the housing component, and Director Lou, who's our public housing director, is in charge of that, and he's administering that. And then myself, we're administering the basic needs, which is what it covers everything else in between those two there. So it is important. There's a timestamp on this. There's a time restriction, so it's only good till the end of the year. So we're trying to make as much outreach as possible so we could help as many veterans as possible. But I'm very happy that we have the support of the county commissioner, Commissioner Cava, in order to get this word out. The website is Miami-Dade COVIDrelief.org. So they could go there, and that's the main page, and then they could choose. Another important fact is that you can apply for 1, 2, or all 3 if you qualify. So just because you apply for one doesn't mean you can't apply for the other.
Okay, great. Give us that. Give me the website one more time so people can jot it down there.
Yes, it's Miami-Dade COVIDrelief.org.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to do our best to keep spreading the word there. It's great to see you. I'm sure during this next 45 minutes, we may call you to come back up there again and your expertise. And the doctor's there behind you. There's the flyer.
There's the flyer. We've got them all over the building. And that was one of the jobs that I was going to do this morning, but I delegated it to Brian, who promptly forgot. This is the flyer, where to apply, and Gus, you take it from here.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll make sure that once again you get this this information out and make sure that everybody could go. This one flyer has exactly where the link is where you can apply, the web address on there.
Awesome. And 50 push-ups for Brian over there for there we go.
If I may add, this is just one part of the dozens of programs that were created by the county commission and by some of the cities for COVID relief. So in addition, we have programs for small businesses, revolving loan fund, some forgivable loans. We've got money for nonprofits and arts and cultural groups, hospitality industry, rental assistance, mortgage assistance, and a range of programs. And I suppose they're all available. That information is at that same website. And as Gus mentioned, we don't want to let any of that money go. Currently, it must be spent by the end of 2020. So we're really eager to get the word out. We also have programs that have just started and not yet been moving forward with applications for child care providers and adult daycare providers who themselves have been also highly stressed with the closures, and we need those services. Those were programs that I sponsored. So
awesome. Commissioner, and Gus can weigh in on this. I think so many people in our community don't realize this is one of the largest communities of military personnel, reservists, and veterans in the United States. So many veterans, people separating from the military or going into our reserve programs, move here to South Florida because it is our paradise that we have here.
Yes,
And I think a lot of in our community don't really realize how embedded we are in this community. You talked about some of the issues that we need to deal with, and I have a list of questions that have been presented to me by other veterans in the community. You talked some about PTSD and coping with this. Obviously, your background in social work, and Gus can weigh in on this. It's something I always has puzzled me. And in my line of work, flying fighter jets, it's different than Gus and Brian on the ground. You know, they call us, and I drop a bomb on a building, and the building's gone. You know, so I mean, it's a different environment than what they're in. But it always puzzled me that those of us in the military have been given a skill set to survive under the worst of conditions. Yet afterwards, we suffer a higher rate of suicide, a higher rate of PTSD, and these types of things. As mayor, what kind of things do you think we can do to, number one, enrapture our community that veterans are here and the military is here in greater numbers than people think? And what programs or ideas do you have to put your arms around us and to be able to kind of address some of those issues that you talked about before?
Yes, well, thank you for those excellent questions. And, you know, I really need to be educated myself as to what are state-of-the-art things that are happening, for example, in the Veterans Administration. But I can well imagine a few of the issues that need to be addressed. People are very focused, disciplined, part of a team, part of a whole, let's say, reason for being when they're in the military. And then they come back to civilian life and they've lost all of that. They've lost all of that structure, camaraderie, purpose. And I think we need to do more, not only to elevate and celebrate the service, but find ways to integrate our returning servicemen and women into meaningful roles in society here on the civilian side. You know, it's not going to be the same. It's not the same kind of hierarchy and structure, but there are many, many ways to be a critical part of community. And we don't really offer that. We don't create a stepping stone for how to be critical part. And as someone who has always been about civic engagement, I'm sure there's service opportunities, which is the Mission Continues is a group that I've worked with. I think that's the name of it. And they take returning servicemen and women and put them to work on community projects. And you've just never seen the kind of excitement, enthusiasm, dedication to do these projects, hard projects, right? It helps keep them in shape. I think that's part of the goal. It also continues the team spirit, but also taking that purposeful life and turning it into something on the civilian side. So I think programs like that are very, very meaningful. As far as mental health goes, you know, again, this is actually something now in this pandemic where we all see the challenges to our mental health and well-being. So this becomes an opportunity to talk about issues that are often pushed under the table or under the carpet. So I think that using this pandemic as the way to bridge that gap and help people see that, yes, we all, you know, we're human beings, we're social creatures, that the difficulties that returning veterans experience is not that dissimilar from what people may experience without having served in the military, and that we all need to take care of our mental health, and we need to expand our mental health outreach and treatment. And then the other thing I'll say is, never having served in the military, so never having been in that position, like you said, to drop a bomb or to, you know, go in and have to kill. I mean, these are very traumatic events to be part of, just like our public safety officials, our police and who have to be on the front lines often of these very difficult and violent situations. I know for our police department, they have ramped up their mental health services, and they also allow a period of release, let's say, if you've been through a traumatic incident. And then I think we need to be aggressive about that sort of thing. I think we should just assume that people coming back from active military duty are going to experience these things, and be very proactive to address it and help people see the symptoms and signs so that they can be managed.
Gus, since you're up there, I'll ask you to speak for the commissioner about this part of it. And then obviously I want Commissioner Cava to weigh in on this. You and I are clearly biased. We think that people with military backgrounds make some of the very best employees. I've had people say to me they're hesitant to hire somebody in the reserve like that because they may have to leave. The commissioner and I will put our legal hats on and go, well, you know, there's a federal statute against that.
Veteran preference, right?
Yes, there you go. So Gus, just talk to the members of our community who may be business people on our call today about the benefits of hiring someone with a military background, and they shouldn't be afraid of that. And actually, I think that it's something that they really should embrace, as I'm sure you do, because of the skill sets that we bring to them. So can you talk about that for a second?
Yes. I think one of the biggest things that veterans bring to the workforce is that strong work ethic that you used, and teamwork that's used in the military. And the military is just one giant team. Miami-Dade County is one giant team. So when the veteran comes into the workforce, they want to assimilate, they want to be part of that team, they want to be part of that success, they want to be actively engaged in that. So I think bringing veterans into the workforce brings that true military work ethic in order to accomplish the mission. Job's not done until the mission is complete. So that's something that's very important. Miami-Dade County is a great place for veterans to work. We do offer veterans preference. So that is something that Miami-Dade County has really put forth in actively hiring veterans. It's a great opportunity for veterans to do that. It's a great opportunity for the private sector to hire these young men and women. And remember also that the military, it's just not military style. It's the 21st century military. So it's not just people that are in infantry jobs or military style jobs. You have a lot of folks that work in IT and computers. There's folks in human resources. There's all walks of life, all types of jobs in the military. So that stigma that these jobs are just something that you would do in the military, not true. You have a lot of transitions that go into the civilian workforce that are compatible with what they did in the military.
If I could add,
Sure.
I am running to be mayor of Miami-Dade County, and while I certainly cannot know whether I'll be elected, the time between election and installation is only 2 weeks, so I am actively working on a transition plan. And part of that is talking to people who are interested in serving in various roles. And I've spoken to many people with a military background, and exactly to Gus's point, the discipline, the persistence, the teamwork obviously shines through in their resume. And also for many in the infrastructure work that we do in Miami-Dade County, they have oftentimes really great experience working on construction and deployment kinds of things that are all extremely relevant. And it's been very illuminating to have some of those conversations and compare the military experience to the civilian roles.
Commissioner, can you elaborate more on what Gus was talking about there about the Veterans Preference Program and what we have on the county level to aid veterans?
Yes, well, I know for sure in procurement, we have a veterans preference. And, you know, our procurement system is designed to try to benefit local workforce and businesses as much as possible. And then the veterans preference is an additional bump in points in the bidding process. So that's certainly important. I don't know exactly on the hiring side as well. I imagine that there is, you know, when there's an application for a county position, that the veterans preference comes into consideration. So, you know, I think it typically gives an extra look, you know, a few bonus points, so to speak, because of our desire to make sure to employ people from military background.
You talked about homelessness, and we've tried to do that. Ron Book and his team have tried to do an incredible job with that. As mayor, what do you see along those lines? Unfortunately, and it's so heartbreaking to us, our veteran communities in a higher, and Gus, thank you very much. I might call you to come back up there again. You never know.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I'll be standing by.
Okay. Commissioner, the homeless issue, we're at a greater percentage there, sadly, with our veterans population.
Yes.
Just address that in general, about what your thoughts are about improving our community. Certainly, we're all the same, and we need to embrace those in our homeless community. Solving it and aiding it also helps downtown development and in these areas.
Right.
What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, well, we do have a very extensive homeless program, and a lot of street outreach is done. In terms of what percentage of the homeless are veterans, I don't have that figure at the top of my head, but I do know that for the various things we've been discussing, unfortunately, many veterans do find themselves in very desperate situation. So I think it would be wonderful if we're not already doing targeted outreach for homeless. Are we doing it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're already doing it. And exactly what resources we have to offer, because part of the problem is that we just don't have the housing. You know, we have shelters, but shelters are limited, you know, and we have a housing first philosophy, which is find people decent housing and then work with them to deal with their other complicating factors, whether it be mental health or substance abuse or disability, whatever it might be, but start with the housing component. But we just have such a challenge of affordability here in this county, where the cost of housing is so astronomical compared to what you would make at a regular job. So we've got the highest percentage of people in the country paying more than 50% of their income towards housing, which is totally unsustainable. So we have to be very aggressive about our housing starts. And I do have quite an extensive plan to move forward with utilizing available county property for free if we can build the affordable housing, to build it quicker by reducing permitting time and expense. As well, the construction costs can be reduced through certain methods that are not always used, and we want to use them because the most important thing is to be decently housed. We also need to have rent to own, because we have many people that are working, but that income just does not support their ability to pay rent in the available housing. So we need to get them started with a subsidized rental and then let them build their equity to make that a down payment and eventually home ownership. Many, many things that we can do. And I do think that, you know, I need to learn more about what we're doing to target our veterans and to make sure that we're leaving no veteran behind.
I have a question here. You talked about the great job that Dr. Atwood has done there at the museum. I have a question about what your thoughts as mayor about funding for places like his and other smaller museums that may be in our community, that they would like to get the message out, not just about veterans, but all the great diversity that we have.
Yes.
And people have been limited in the ability to be able to do that. Hey, you have an idea about that?
Yes, of course. So we are a very special place. We are a very dynamic and diverse place. And our tourism, which has been our #1 industry, right now a little on the decline because of the COVID fears. But what we need to do to bring back our tourism is highlight and showcase all of the unique features. People come for the sun and the fun, but there is so much more to explore. And that is actually the brand, the marketing theme that we developed for South Dade. And we are right here in South Dade as part of an effort to build an economic development plan for this region. And truly, this is a unique facility here. Our county has maintained dollars for cultural programming, even in the midst of the pandemic. Not all cities have done that, but we do truly recognize that this is critical, not only to our quality of life, but to our tourism economy, and that people, again, don't just come for the sun and the fun, they come for those unique experiences. That's what people want, experiences. So this place needs to be on the map for visitors who will want to know local history, will be intrigued by our lifting of military affairs here in Miami-Dade County, as well as all of our distinct communities by ethnicity and race and history, fascinating history. My husband was reading today the book on the history of the McDuffie riots, and that brings into play all of the politics and of the era, just as another example. And I think people are interested. They want to understand communities. I know I do when I travel. And I think not only for out-of-town visitors, but for Miami-Dade County residents to understand not just the 4th grade school trip, but the families, to really understand where they live and the great heritage. And I hope that we can do much more to lift that up and have all of us in Miami-Dade County enjoy all that we have to offer. And this place is amazing. The history, and not only that, it's just beautiful. It's a gem sitting here in the midst of the palmetto and sawgrass. So I think everybody will want to come and experience this.
Commissioners, veterans in this community and all in our community, I'm remiss this morning if I don't ask you something you and I have talked about before, about your plan to get us back on our feet, moving forward overall as a community to recover from the pandemic that we're currently under, because we're all in the same boat. So therefore, this morning, I would ask you to address that bigger picture, because people who are on with us this morning are obviously concerned about veterans issues, but we are all members of this community, and in this boat right now, we need to all be uplifted. So I want you to talk about that, just overall, getting our health back, our economy back, because a lot of the things you would like to do, and Gus and Brian and I would like to see you do, that can't happen until these other things are resolved. Exactly.
Well, precisely. You've just made my point. And I do have a very detailed plan called RECOVER, R-E-C-O-V-E-R. It's an acronym for all different components of my recovery plan. But the main elements are to secure our health first and foremost. We can't do anything without making sure that we tamp down this virus. The virus has not gone away. Herd immunity is not the recommended approach to just run rampant. Governor has chosen to open up the economy more so, but that does not mean that we should stop our personal precautions, our social distancing, our disinfection, our masking, just like is happening right here today during this, I guess, I don't know what we call it. Roundtable, just like what's happening here. And it's really working. The good news is that these precautions are keeping the virus at bay. And so we must continue. So I'll be appointing a chief medical officer to guide us on every step of the way. And then we can assure the businesses and the people that frequent those businesses, including hospitality, that we have it under control. Our businesses have followed to the letter everything they've been asked to do. And we should not put it on the businesses alone to enforce these rules. We need to, as county government, continue to guide and enforce these kinds of protections. So we are going to bring together the business community to help us design the strategy for the future. That's real estate, finance, hospitality, retail, all of the industries. Let's look together, not just what are the precautions, but what is the future? What can we do as government? We can, for example, make our revolving loan fund permanent. We can bring private sector dollars in to match the government dollars that we have in that fund. We can accelerate our infrastructure projects so we can get more projects in the ground. We can rebuild our way out of this recession. And we can work on the transit infrastructure, housing, water and sewer, septic to sewer, so many infrastructure projects. And government has an important role to play coming out of every recession. And I plan to make sure we do that. And we also will provide technical assistance to our small businesses. They are the backbone of our economy. I've created an accelerator in South Dade, and I plan to take that same approach countywide, where we offer the back office, the finance help, the marketing, the shared office space, and help these businesses to learn how to adapt to the new economy. And we are going to need to retrain people, working with our career source to bring people into the new economy as the new workforce. I've spoken to the plumbers union, the elevator and escalator. These are the kinds of jobs that stay right here. They don't get outsourced. And as we're doing this infrastructure buildup, we're going to need skilled workers. They can get paid while they're learning. And this is a great career path for our high school students, as well as our college graduates. So those are a few of the things that I'll be looking at to recover. And as we do all of that, people will have more money to pay their bills. It will recirculate in the economy, create the jobs, again, that are needed. And at the end of the day, mean that we have the dollars we need to sustain our county services as well, because we know we're going to have a shortfall in the next budget year, and we're going to need to be aggressive to build up our coffers.
Okay, I want to open the door for you to give us a warning. It's something I'm concerned about, and I'm going to call it COVID fatigue and complacency. And I think that's something our community cannot afford to do. We've seen, sadly, especially in Europe, numbers that have gone back to what they were at the beginning of this in March. We fortunately haven't gotten there, but the last week or so, we see these trends. So I certainly want you to give a warning to our community that this isn't anywhere near over, and to
Correct.
Stay on guard.
Yes, thank you. Exactly my point. Continue to mask up Florida. Continue to take those precautions. Obviously, people who are more vulnerable need to take additional precautions. I know many people who've still not ventured out of their homes because they know that they are at high risk. And of course, as our children go to school, as the economy opens, more potential for the disease to come back into the house. People need to continue testing. Testing is here, it's available more so, it's free, the results come back quickly. We need to test. We also need to isolate if we've been exposed until we know that we are not positive. So we need to really be responsible in that regard. And we need to do this contact tracing. That is truly the missing element. I've been yelling about this since March. Our take-up in Florida has been extremely slow. And now we're told that half the people that are contacted won't talk. They are fearful or they're resistant for whatever reason. If we can't help people to follow through to be tested if they've been exposed, then we cannot tamp down this disease. So everybody needs to collaborate, cooperate. And then if you cannot safely isolate at home, if you've been exposed, then we have hotel rooms for you. That may not be your favorite choice, but the government has stepped up with some dollars for that, which is essential to make sure you don't spread this throughout your family, which is the #1 way that it does spread. So everybody has to continue with all those precautions and do their parts.
Okay, Brian, we only have the commissioner another 6 minutes. So I want to make sure if the young people have questions in there. I haven't seen any other thing else come up in the chat, and
Yeah,
she's on the move today.
Throw it in the chat, but I wanted to see if anyone here in the room had a question for the commissioner before we close out. And I do want to plug a program because I want to try to recover from those 50 push-ups that you charged me with earlier. So I'm going to plug our Miami-Dade County active and veteran COVID relief program. We haven't done that already. So anybody have any questions here? Dr. Atwood.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Egbert Dawkins, and I'd like to thank commissioners for this opportunity, Fonseca and Cava, and I'd like to commend Shepard for being our voice. I believe he touched every single point that I would have liked to talk about or hear. But one of my big things was affordable housing. And you hear a lot about shelters and so forth. But I believe if we have housing where affordable that people can be able to pay, like Cava said, there are astronomical costs out there, or it's through the roof. So if we can get affordable housing, I believe it will be something really good, not only for our vets, but for our entire community here. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for your input.
Thank you very much so. And dignity, the dignity of having a place to roof over your head. It's just a human right.
Absolutely.
I think we have a question here, Dr. Atwood. Did you want to?
If we've got more visible, he said it better than I could. I wanted to ask, though, ma'am, especially in light of the pandemic, the United States, and I know this from experience, my final duty station was as the liaison officer for the local selective service boards. That program is on life support.
Oh.
It is the least funded program there is. And it has no provisions, none whatsoever, for mobilization of women in the event of a natural catastrophe, a health crisis, or even a surprise attack. No provisions whatsoever. So I would just
thank you for letting me know that. Yes, so thank you, Dr. Atwood, for pointing that out. Not something I'm so familiar with, but I think, you know, I'm looking at our Office of Emergency Management in the county, and I think it has a larger role to play. I think there are all kinds of disasters. I mean, this pandemic, obviously it's come into play, but it was not deployed in the way it needed to be across the cities, for example. And so looking ahead, we need to be able to call people to duty rapidly. And I think that's a wonderful point that you're making. And I'd like to work with you to explore how we could do that and not be left flat-footed just when we need it. I know the big effort now is to gear up for delivery of a vaccine. You know, that is like something that people are very hopeful about, that there'll be a vaccine. We don't know exactly when that will be. And we're going to need, you know, a lot of public service people to deliver it. But there's just any number of emergencies that we could face. And I really appreciate the point.
Thank you. So I think we're just about, we've got 1 minute to wrap up. I want to give Willard a shout out for joining us this morning, and really grateful for you jumping in and asking some really vital questions for our community, the veteran community, but also more broadly, the county community. And so,
one last thing, and Commissioner, take your right hand there. I'm going to give you my phone number. You mentioned about being educated about us. Brian and Gus, they'll put a backpack on you and take you on one of these rucks that they call it when they go on a hike. So they'll take you all around our community on foot. And whether it's down at Miami Airport or over at Opelika at the Coast Guard Station, our Air Force Civil Air Patrol program that I fly in now, we'll put you in one of our airplanes and show you how to go out and do a search and rescue when people get lost. And as a matter of fact, we work jointly with the Miami-Dade Police Department and the helicopter and fire programs. So my cell phone number is 305-798-0039. And as you move forward in the next couple of weeks, especially with what may be your new responsibilities, please reach out to me, not just about that, but about other things with veterans in our community. If you set up another commission and liaison and like that, I'll certainly aid you in any way that I can, as those guys are over there, and get with Gus, and we'll develop the same relationship that we have with Commissioner Diaz. And it's great to be with you. You got a busy day there. So you're going to be off to Hialeah to the afternoon event and cookout and barbershop and all of that. So best to you over the next next couple of hours and days. I imagine you're not going to get any sleep here over the next 2 weeks.
That's right. 18 days, sir. That's what we've got. Well,
There you go.
it's just been a great privilege and honor to learn so much. Really, I mean, I've always been impressed with the part that I've known, and now I'm just all the more impressed and eager to play a leadership role in the future to move these programs forward. And to the listeners, thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Thank you for caring. I am going to be an open book, just like Willard knows exactly what I'm doing today. That's how I'll always be, open and available, and I'll look forward to working with you to get it done. Thank you so much, sir.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks,
Brian.
Willard. Commissioner, thank you so much, Dr. Atwood, for hosting this. And that concludes the roundtable today. We'll make sure this gets out. If you have any follow-on questions, feel free to send them to me, Willard, or Dr. Atwood, and we'll make sure they get to the commissioner and her team. With that, thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Go Air Force.
Highly abound, that's true.
Go Marines.
There you go.
All right.
Hey, we fly too, you know. We fly too. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Wow.
Well, if you have time.
Remember that the Army is the senior service.
That's not true, Colonel Crowther. The Marines, Gus and I are here, see the problem online. You know, we're responsible for the brunt of the work, and you guys come in.
Actually, Brian, my great-great-great-grandfather was a plank holder in the U.S. Army, which was formed some 6 months, 7 months before the Marine Corps. November, June, right?
Yeah, but that's the point, is that because there was a lack of sophistication and capability, they had to spin us out after that to make up for some of those challenges and deficiencies.
That's because we were too busy doing the land operations. We couldn't guard the nascent U.S. Navy.
We needed some guys from a bar to come in and help out. That's essentially Gus is right on. So here we are.
I'm totally down with that. I support that fully.
All right, guys. Thanks, Alex, for joining us. Hector, Danny, Patty, Maria Donoso, good to see you. All right, everyone.
Good to see you, Ryan. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Excellent work. Interesting. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Hector. Bye.